Nosso próximo
So our next guest is a person from computer science. Is from the University of Washington in Seattle. It's a great privilege to have this guest who is going to talk about machine learning. He's an expert in machine learning, which is absolutely vital for automatic learning, and so it's a certain pride that he started in the Technical University in Lisbon, and then he went to Irvine, California, and now he's at Washington. He's already received many awards, perhaps the most prestigious of the Innovation Award, and he has worked in an area where he himself became a true reference for some of them. For the book he wrote, The Evolution of the Master Algorithm, which was so successful that was recommended by Bill Gates. And so let's look at the future. Artificial intelligence. I hope to have him have our next guest direct from Washington.
Professor Pedro Domingos, muito bom dia.
So, Professor Pedro Domingos, good morning. It's a great pleasure and a great privilege to have you with us in this country. It's also yours. I've made a very quick introduction, so let's help us to look at the future and the way. So as we know exactly where we are in artificial intelligence, and so this actually has started in the 50s, as I heard before. Good morning, and thank you very much, everybody. Artificial intelligence is an extraordinary opportunity for Portugal, but take full advantage of it. We have to understand what it is and what it is not, and what it's not cannot be used for, and how is it related to the human consciousness. And so I'm going to talk about this and see what the implications are for the economy, what are the dangers, and what are the things that we have to do in order to mitigate them, and how can Portugal take advantage of this in order to improve the life of the Portuguese. The most popular definition of artificial intelligence is that it's the automatization of typical abilities like reasoning, language, vision, learning, etc. This is a definition which is very poetical but acceptable, but a great danger which leads to the conclusion that artificial intelligence is human. So, but in reality, they're very different, and by confusing them, we will make mistakes on many levels, and so we must avoid this. So I think it's worthwhile to spend some time trying to understand what is the technical definition of artificial intelligence and what are its implications. Artificial intelligence is a sub-area of computer science, which is devoted to unsolvable problems. Now, that is most of the problems in computer science can be solved efficiently by using enough time, memory, computation, but there are other problems that, for very fundamental reasons, cannot be resolved so quickly. They need lots of resources, and for this there is no other remedy than to resort to heuristic methods, which necessarily, being as they are heuristics, are never going to be effective. So artificial intelligence is necessarily imperfect, like human beings. We ourselves are imperfect, and so, but we are still quite intelligent. But due to the fact that artificial intelligence is a field which deals with this type of problems, doesn't mean that it only deals with problems that human beings deal with typically, and it does it in the same way. Most of the many of the activities of artificial intelligence are very different from what we do. So we have to dedicate time to them with the economic benefits. For example, we regulate them, we regulate things right, and not only a very small number of relevant things. So one of the most important aspects of this is in this field we have discovered to our cost was that contrary, unlike what intuition says, things that seem easy for artificial intelligence are difficult and vice versa. And so we can see this in economy, etc. Because, for example, in general, the administrative work is easy by artificial intelligence, and manual work, no. So this is the opposite of what we would think. We think it would be, for example, it would be easier to automate the basic skills, but no, it's the other way about. Another example is this idea that artificial intelligence is going to automate the cognitive methods, but it will never be able to show emotion. No, this is the opposite. It's much easier nowadays for artificial intelligence to understand the emotions of human beings through the voice, facial expressions, etc., and also show emotions, whether it's a feeling or not, but that's not important here, than understanding how it works. What's the reasoning behind it? What's common sense in the language? No, this isn't very intuitive, but it's an important reality. And there are examples today of things that AI already does and has, in terms of cognitive skills, difficulty. Another important dichotomy is the difference between creativity and feasibility. And a couple of years ago, people had great difficulty believing artificial intelligence couldn't be creative, and that creative was really human only. And so to get them to do things properly, it was easy. But today, with the generation of different images, etc., creativity is the easiest part in AI. And so the people who weren't prepared for this were greatly surprised. And they're going to be more surprised. Another example of the type of tasks that are easy and not difficult. For example, to be able to say, so the traits of a wine, for example, you need a great expert, a human expert. But human expert, but now artificial intelligence do this very easily. It's been doing this for years. And for example, to make a bed or to make dinner may seem very trivial, but they're very difficult for artificial intelligence. And even today, despite all the progress that's been made in recent years, we're still very far from doing these things. The other thing, the selection of players for basketball or football, is an area what we thought, oh, well, this is a train, a human, you need deep human knowledge, etc. But this has been doing for years. But artificial intelligence has been doing this for years. And so the other part of civil construction, for example, we're very far from any expertise in that area. And the other, which is some expert work where you need to have a university degree, for example. And so for them, it's very easy. They just read a book and then they combine everything that's been in the book. But the daily tasks that we think are easy, we think it's easy because evolution has been perfecting these tasks, or perfecting us for these tasks over millions and millions of years. And so it is a very complex process for our brains. So these analogies, irresistible, between human and artificial intelligence, and we can see in great scale the illusion that we see intelligence where in fact there is very little. For example, a neural network is in from Washington can classify these images and say this is okay. I know what a dog is and I know what a wolf is. So when we examine what is going on within the network, we see that it's just detecting big white stains, spots, not distinguishing. It's not distinguishing dogs from wolves, but distinguishing snow. So when we see dogs and wolves, we think the computer's seeing dogs and wolves. Well, it's okay because we need the results because the results are correct. But if one of these days this neural network finds a wolf in the garden and not in the snow, well, the result may not be very, very good. We see the GPT side to generate text and answer questions, and we seem to see great intelligence on the contrary. So at the level he's doing it is very simple and limited. And with what he's doing this with an astronomical quantity of data. And so it seems more intelligent than it is. It's not a question of the GPT chat is stupid. Its intelligence is very different from human intelligence. And we have to begin to think that, well, all of us have to start learning this, not only experts, etc. We have to learn to distinguish the real intelligence of computers and how to work with it from the one that we think they have. So with these ideas in mind, we could begin to think what is going to be the impact of artificial intelligence on the economy and on work. The first aspect of this, and the most important, is the following. Artificial intelligence isn't magical. It's very advanced form of automation, and the main role is to reduce the cost of intelligence. Intelligence is expensive. It's expensive because intelligence is human, but when it's done by computer, the cost comes down greatly. And the laws of the economy says if the costs go down, the demand goes up. And so the main thing of artificial intelligence is not to decrease unemployment or demand. It's going to increase. It's going to make it possible. 10,000 things of intelligence than was possible before. Another important aspect is that in every job nowadays and in the foreseeable future, artificial intelligence can automatize some tasks, but not all of them. So what's going to happen? People who do carry out these professions as professions in this area, what they're going to have to learn, they're going to have to learn how to use intelligence, artificial intelligence, for it to do certain tests. And another important part of the economy is that this question is that when the cost of an input goes down, the value of the accessories increase when, for example, when the price of butter goes down, the price of bread goes up. And so we're not going to reduce the demand of human work, we're going to increase it. So we have decades, 200 years of innovation, automation, asking for but always with the same results. 200 years ago, most of the Portuguese farmers, but no, they're no longer. farmers. And once again, today, it's easy to think about the professions that theoretically could disappear. What is difficult is to see what professions are going to appear. And they can program things because they can talk to the computer in a natural language and get it to do things for themselves, for others, which was impossible before. Another very important aspect to this, by bringing down the cost of intelligence, you're bringing down the cost of the cost of the products that use intelligence. And people, when they spend money on these products, because they can spend less, they get more money to spend on other things, doing tourism, going out for dinner, etc. And so the artificial intelligence is going to release money to people who are going to give jobs to other people. So it is not only professions that actually directly involve artificial intelligence. They're going to use this innovation. This is going to be the large-scale economy. And another important point is the following. Europe is aging. Many other countries are aging. To have artificial intelligence to replace human work would be very difficult to maintain the quality of life of people. So artificial intelligence is not an option, it is necessary.
So nowadays people are concerned with this small intersection in the Venn diagram, intersection of what human beings can do and what AI can. So AI will replace human beings, but this is just a small fraction of relevant things. There are things that human beings can do will continue, but AI not yet, and many and years from now won't be able to. And there are also a lot of things that AI can and that human beings never can, will never be able to, like quick calculations, as computers have been doing for many decades. So there wasn't a very big unemployment increase. But what's more important is what can be done by AI and human beings together in conjunction that could not be done by any of them alone, isolatedly, never done before. These are tasks, activities where there is growth, future, and that we should focus on. But unfortunately, these are not paid attention to, but those that are intelligent to focus on will benefit from it, and also people will benefit from this. Lastly, the greatest effect of AI won't be only in the economy or work. It will be to improve the function of society and democracy. In particular, the AI's vocation is to increase our collective intelligence, not only to replace human beings or a tool being used by you or I, but it's the intelligence of an organization society will be greater than the sum of people's intelligent. It's the opposite in terms of this sum. So AI can play an important role in making democracy function better. Democracy works when we vote, when we sometimes vote. Nowadays, we communicate with megabytes and the government bytes per year. So it would make sense in the 20th century, but that would be otherwise. Nowadays, the most important app we use search engines recommending links for films, products, and books on Amazon, for tweets, posts on Facebook. So these systems can also be used, for instance, it's just an example, to recommend voting. I'm a voter. I want to know who I should vote for, but I don't have the time, nor do I have patience to search information. There are systems which have been more developed. It's not to say who to vote for, but make recommendations that I can choose. And on the other hand, journalists and politicians could also use this to understand what people want to do. There's a finer granularity, and which is essential. In general, we need to think about AI as the knowledge that we've built up and will develop in the future. So AI is the repository of this knowledge. As human beings, we collaborate with AI. We supply knowledge that AI combines with the knowledge of others to respond to questions, solve problems of people, organizations, receives the feedback, uses that feedback, saying where you need more things to increase quality and so on. And so society and organizations function in a way which is much better than before. So AI's main role, a great role, is to increase collective intelligence and not only individual. Now, unfortunately, what people are worried more about are not with these opportunities that exist, but with the threats, the dangers. And indeed, AI shows real dangers. It's very important to to deal with them. Very different to what we've been hearing. In the last part of my presentation, I'm going to try to mention these dangers, pitfalls, those that have been exaggerated, ignored, and what can be done in relation to them. The four main dangers that we see constantly in the media outlets, the apocalypse nights, disinformation, discrimination, unemployment, and extinction. In reality, all these dangers are being highly exaggerated. They're very much exaggerated. For instance, information, we're going to be flooded with information. It's a danger for democracy. First of all, the influence of online information is much smaller than what we suppose. The ability, like Facebook, to influence us is very low. How many times we click on ad that Google and Facebook show us? Very little. On elections as well. So AI is going to make easily generate information, but that's not the limit. It's not the facility to generate information. Presently, there's an enormous quantity of disinformation. In its limit, it has to do with people's attention, and this is not going to change. On the other hand, and this is extremely important and ignored, AI nowadays plays an essential role in fighting disinformation. For instance, in the social media, without AI detecting and erasing, blocking information, we'd be completely flooded by disinformation. So what we need, more AI to fight disinformation, not less. Another problem, discrimination. It says that AI discriminates against certain classes and certain people. The studies that mention these effects constantly is confused the correlation with causality, finding what it does and some undesirable result. And when someone sees that this causality typically is not there, and the AI is simply maximizing what it should, and then we can maximize other things, different societies with different roles. But this is essential. That is, if we want to fight discrimination, biases, and so on, AI is an extraordinary instrument. It could be more objective, more transparent, more rational than human beings. So, AI in fighting discrimination is not an enemy, it's one of our best friends, it's our besties. We spoke about unemployment. I spoke about unemployment. We always speak about those dangers, and in reality, AI will not be an apocalypse on the other hand. Finally, the extinction period. So, part of these 4 nights of the apocalypse, AI will take care of the world and will annihilate. This derives from the confusion between AI and human beings intelligent. AI is a tool, an instrument, no will, no emotion, no desires, that want to does not want to be in power. What we associate to human beings that we're projecting onto AI, we should use AI, and this is very important. These problems that AI deals with, we try to solve some issues, but the solution can be seen efficiently so that we can have an AI which is faster than that of the human being, which is under our control, can be automatically learning, evolving, but is under our control. We're not afraid. That is, who has a dog is not afraid that the dog could kill his or her owner. The dog uh, has been created, evolved. So the most likelihood of becoming mean is very little. On the other hand, indeed, there are real dangers to AI, which are very different, greater. And then we should be more worried about them than what we have been until now. The most important danger is artificial stupidity. It's a real problem. It's not hypothetical. That is AI that makes mistakes, produces bad results. In recommendations given, giving opportunity to people in saying, doing this and that because they're too stupid. These are models learned from data, no common sense. Sometimes they are right, but sometimes they don't because of the notion that we have. So let's say the damage caused by AI will continue on being the damages once apps are increased are caused by the lack of intelligence, not not excessive intelligence. It's the opposite of what people are worried about. There's another type, another danger of AI is using AI by bad agents, by human beings behind AI, those that are behind AI. We need to get used to knowing who are behind AI, not the computers, those that control it, those that have produced the programs. This is where lies the real danger. And when these bad agents is a totalitarian state, because AI is great to repress, to be spying, never being tired. So computers are ideal in that sense. Unfortunately, we can't avoid these states to do this. What we should urgently do, there's a race between democracies and totalitarian states in AI, in general technology, and we need to win that race. Because if we don't win that race at an economic, political, military level, dictatorships will prevail. And nowadays, instead of being concerned with, while dictatorships take advantage of AI in democracy, we're concerned with how to bypass AI. It's dangerous for democracy. No, we need to increase our collective intelligence to improve democracy, as that AI be better than dictatorship with dictatorship. And to another bad agents are the criminals. criminals using technology as everyone else does. The fact that criminals can use and will use more AI is not the reason to limit it. For thieves to uh, flee in a car after robbing a bank. So again, it's to give faster cars to the police to go after these thieves. It's the same thing with AI. Police at every level, cyberspace. They need tools, instruments, and the governments also have to give an example of what they do in terms of police, military, with AI. And this is what has been happening a lot more than until now. So all these dangers, what they have in common, the commonalities is with more intelligence, not with less. The measures, regulations, trying to control AI to limit it. No, we don't want to limit it. We don't. We want more AI. We don't want less. And all institutions centralizing the control of AI because it's a bad idea. AI distributing the open source, you discover errors, dangers, to try to probe the shortcomings, having more people than having less. And if control is centralized, then there'll be the danger of those people with that control not wanting the same that we want. Centralization is the opposite of democracy, and centralized economy are the opposite. So we know that democracy works better, and we know how this has to be applied in AI. And this is happening until now. And to conclude my presentation, Portugal has an opportunity without falling into the different areas. It's a development engine. It has an AI community in Portugal, which is first line for a long time with different proportions, industries that could apply AI, a greater flexibility that some bigger countries might not have. So these are important points to take advantage of AI. An analogy with Estonia, starting as a Soviet republic, has become one of the most developed countries, very successful through well thought, implemented initiative in the digital sector. So in Portugal, we have an opportunity of being Estonia in AI, of being an example that could be used by other countries. Obviously, there are psychological, sociological, economic, political barriers, and to overcome them, there needs to be a political will, entrepreneurial initiative. Everyone has to participate in this process. And I'm leaving you with this question: are we ready? If we're ready, then let's do it.
Professor Pedro Domingos, não...
Professor Domingos, let me ask you a question. I don't know if we're ready. We're going to try to understand. You gave the example of Estonia, and we have here someone from Estonia. We have businessmen. We have leaders in the entrepreneurial economic sector. What do they need to do now, not to lose the race? That's quite advanced, in addition to the legal governmental aspects. These representative decision makers, entrepreneurs, how can they not lose that race? Training. There's digital literacy. Everyone should be able to use Excel and so on. People in their work have to know how to use AI tools, instruments. This could be done at different levels. For instance, people using ChatGPT and so on, there has to be a minimum of training so that each person in their profession can ask how can I use AI? So they have to know what's available. So training, one of the main objectives by reading that book is to give the people the ability to think of what they can do. Then at a more advanced level, that is of managers, professionals, that once again have to try apply AI in their tasks, and a part of the gain is with simple solutions. This could be done tomorrow, 10% with more advanced, but you don't have to start at an advanced stage. And with professionals develop research AI, there needs to be a large quantity of training, higher education, but we also have to invest. There are things in the short, medium, long run that businessmen should do, and the schools themselves in the training area. Now, in terms of the real fears you've mentioned, and those are fiction. There's there's the labor one. What's the labor cost? On one hand, are more jobs created, or some some will have to disappear? How could we avoid this impact? 300 million jobs, because there are people that are not ready, they're not prepared. Well, this estimation is a false one. It's based on the hypothesis that AI can fully replace a profession, while typically it cannot. There will be some professions where there will be a reduction, but automatic translation, there are more translators than there were years before. Now, what's important is that it's not man against machine, it's man with the machine, and the machine against a man without machine. So, man with machine has more opportunities than the other way around. Those that won't adapt to AI will have difficulties. They might not end up unemployed, but be in a job with lesser value. So that's why this investment and training is important. But the main point regarding employing, most jobs won't disappear. It will be very difficult, but many professions will emerge. Thousands that have emerged in the last years that did not exist in the 19th century. In the 22nd and next centuries, there will be new professions appearing, and many can be concentrated in a country like Portugal if Portugal has intelligence and the vision to invest in them. Professor Pedro Domingos, thank you so much. You've left us with many clues, and thank you for guiding us and being pioneers in this area. Thank you.
Ficaram aqui então algumas das.
So we have now some clues of these 2-day Congress, 40 years of APDC. What was said, strangely enough, will be detailed by our guest speakers. And let's continue when